So today I want to take a deep look at what Oklahoma has returning, what it lost, and what it's going to take for the Sooners to gear up to chase a national championship in 2021. And all that's coming up after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You gotta help me with that corner
What's up, kid folk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always college football related, sports related. We have a good time. Today, I want to talk about what Oklahoma has lost, what it is returning, and what needs to happen for the Sooners to get to the national championship in 2021. Many of you know already, Spencer Rattler is a Heisman hopeful in 21, along with Sam Howell and De'Aaron King, even after De'Aaron King suffered a debilitating ACL injury. I think JT Daniels is going to be in the mix for that. Bryce Young, obviously, at Alabama is going to be in the mix for that. And there's a couple other places to look around, Keaton Slovis being among them at USC, and we can keep going down the line there. But let's take a look at what Oklahoma has lost, either in transfer or to the NFL, to give you an understanding of what the Sooners are looking to do when it comes to rebuilding and where they're going to have some holes to fill to try to be that team that not just makes the college football playoff, but gets to the national championship game. So in the transfer portal, you got Tanner Mordecai going to SMU. TJ Pledger is still in the portal, but I expect him to end up at a pretty good Power 5 place where he's one of the highest rated running backs in the portal right now, which has got over 1,600 players that are looking to get somewhere. You got Steven Johnson, who was a walk-on kicker. Finn Corwin, who was a walk-on wide receiver, also in the portal. Jalen Conyers is going to end up at Arizona State. That's interesting for me because Jaden Daniels and that receiving core and the tailbacks they have for Herm Edwards down there in Arizona State, I think it's kind of phenomenal, right? I think that they're going to chase not just the Pac-12 South, but a Pac-12 championship. I thought that this year didn't go so well. They're in a last-minute loss. Like, if Drake London doesn't come up big against Arizona State, we're probably talking about Arizona State a little bit differently. I think their season also changed because of the COVID situation. They were famously getting in spring ball in like February. They probably won't do that this year. Probably going to have to wait for everybody to get mostly, vaccinated before we do that. I think this is going to push spring ball back even further than we're used to seeing it. Talking about May, maybe even June for some, as we just try to revamp and retool for this year. You also got to talk about Chandler Morris going to Texas Christian. Robert Barnes is in the portal as a linebacker safety type. We'll see where he ends up. Defensive end linebacker John Michael Terry is also in the portal. Dane Saltarelli, a walk-on tight end's in the portal. And then Charleston Rambo, of course, one of the most high-profile guys from Oklahoma in the portal. Going to the NFL draft, Trey Brown, Creed Humphrey, Trey Norwood, and Adrian Ely, which means we're still waiting on Ramondre Stevenson, Ronnie Perkins, and Nick Bonito to make decisions about whether or not they're going to go into the NFL draft early. The deadline for early entrants is January 15th. So they're going to have to make a decision here in a little over a week. And I think for Stevenson, if he's got a first-round grade, second-round grade, day one grade, go, right? There's really nothing else for you to prove. You are big, you are fast, you're pretty good in pass protection, you're pretty good at receiving the ball out of the backfield, and I think he could have a long career in the league. Ronnie Perkins is also right there, right? There's good reason to believe that Ronnie Perkins could be a high second-round pick, if not fall to the third round. And I don't know that you would want to come back to do anything other than to try to get to the first round, but I don't know that he's able to get there. He would have to have a phenomenal season, and Perk is certainly capable of such a thing. But you're also looking at Nick Bonito, who was tremendous as a rush linebacker for Oklahoma this year, and the all Big 12 teams look kind of silly now with Perkins, Stevenson, Rattler, those dudes not making first team. Like, it's just, what are we even doing here? But you get the return of guys like Kennedy Brooks and Jalen Redmond to the fold, and I think that that's going to be tremendous for Oklahoma, because adding dudes like Stacey Wilkins to that offensive line, knowing that you're losing Adrian Ely as well, are going to be huge. So what is it going to take for Oklahoma to get to the playoff? Well, you're going to need to run the table in the Big 12 to start, though that's not been true here the last few years, right? I just think that there's going to be at least two teams in the SEC that are going to challenge Alabama for conference supremacy. Georgia being one, and we'll see what Texas A&M looks like. LSU, I think, is really talented. They're not going to be as bad as they were last year. And then you got to look around at the Pac-12 and expect them to be there. Oregon is a year older after being one of the youngest teams in all of college football this year. They return a bunch. They're very talented. SC, I think, is in a very real space to have a magic year if they can get the defense figured out. Keaton Slovis going into a year in which he's going to be one of those guys that we're looking to go into the NFL draft along with Brew McCoy and others. I think they're going to be really great, and Clay Helton is putting together an outstanding freshman class in this 21 cycle. But the thing for Oklahoma that I find to be so interesting is in year 3 of this Alex Grinch thing, my goodness, the guys are figuring it out. David Ugwoegbu might vault into a first-round draft selection. I'm not kidding. That dude next to Deshaun White has been amazing. Knowing the kind of safety play that you're likely to get out of guys like Bryson Washington, knowing what you have got out of cornerbacks like Woody Washington, gonna be huge for the Sooners going into 21. That's what has held Oklahoma back in years prior. Even in 2017, when I thought that they were the matchup for Alabama in that national championship game after losing the Rose Bowl in overtime against Georgia, it's the defense that held them back. The defense is no longer that. The defense finished number 15 in SP Plus this year. So miss me with the Oklahoma doesn't play defense anymore trope. It's not there, especially if you return as much as Oklahoma is going to return in 21 to go along with Deshaun White and David Ugwoegbu. Like, you have dudes. You have Marcus Stripling out there. You have Jalen Redmond back in the fold. You have cornerbacks that can play. Jade Davis, Woody Washington among them. You're going to lose Norwood, sure. You're going to lose Brown, sure. But you're also going to be really great at wide receiver too, right? You got Theo Wease coming back. Marvin Mims coming back. We'll see what it looks like when you get to add guys like Cody Jackson and Mario Williams. And then my favorite guy in the 21 class outside of a Caleb Williams to join up is Clayton Smith. I think that dude's going to be an early contributor for Oklahoma, either at rush edge or in inside linebacker. He's that good. They line that dude up in the numbers in high school and have him go get jump balls. He's that athletic. Add to that what Reggie Grimes is going to be like. You get where I'm going with this, right? They are built to try to chase it. But if you get even one of those guys, Benito, Perkins, or Stevenson, to play in 21 as opposed to go to the NFL draft, you're talking about a way different football team. You're talking about one that not just runs roughshod over a Big 12 that should only be challenged by Iowa State this year. Like, honestly, that's it. Texas is going to be in a year 1 of Steve Sarkisian trying to figure out what they're doing. Texas Christian is Texas Christian. Baylor is Baylor. Like, they had to fire Larry Fedora as offensive coordinator to go get Jeff Grimes from BYU after year 1. They're still trying to figure it out, right? Texas Tech had to fire David Yost after what? To bring in who, right? To bring in Sonny Cumbie. So, like, there's a lot of reasons as to why I think the Big 12 is going to be down, but there's a lot of reasons why I think Oklahoma is going to be up and ready to challenge Clemson, Alabama, Georgia, whomever shows up in the college football playoff spot. There's also Ohio State to think about in the Big 10. Penn State, I think, is going to be a lot of fun to watch. But you get where I'm going here. You get one of the 3 back that is contemplating the NFL draft right now, and I think you're going to be in a great place to challenge for a national championship in 21. All right, that's it for me. Deuces.